The big story is, well, families are going to have problems at Thanksgiving dinner. Are they going to be able to talk if they've had some issues politically? The one guy I thought about immediately just happens to be our guest today. He played a big role in saving the world. Adam Sosnick, co-host of the PBD Podcast, which I was on with Adam and PBD for 36 of the first 100 top 10 podcasts in the world. One of the primary voices for rational people. Trump, he's aggressive. He's in your face.
I think Trump is a reflection of who we are in America. He wants to make money, he wants to have social media, he wants eyeballs, but he's also a little egomaniac, social media, selfie culture. He's a reflection of who we are.
Tom or Adam saw 2020. I think Trump won.
Another 4 years of this, it would be go right off the cliff.
You mentioned Elon Musk. We've become very close with Vivek. They're going to be heading the
Department of Government Efficiency.
And there's a mandate to start running the country like a business because we're what, $36 trillion in debt. It's no surprise that Trump's policies have been better for America, but his personality pisses a lot of people off. Living in LA, California, the politics are so different from what they are in Texas or in Florida. You guys are living in a different world.
Welcome, everybody. We got a hot hour coming up. I'm Tom Zenner, host of 1 Degree of Scandalous, co-host my man over here, Kato Kalin,
That's
the
me.
one and only. And Kato, you know, the big story is, right, or one of the big stories now that we have our world back, right, and sanity has prevailed is, well, families are going to have problems at Thanksgiving dinner, right? Are they going to be able to talk if they've had some issues politically in the past 2 or 3 years? Have you seen that nonsense? We're going to talk about that.
Yes.
The one guy I thought about immediately just happens to be our guest today, folks. You know him. He played a big role in saving the world. I don't want to make his ego that much bigger. But Adam Sosnick.
It was all me. Everybody knows it.
Adam Sosnick, co-host of the PBD Podcast, which I was on with Adam and PBD for 36 of the first 100 until they booted me out of there.
Patrick Bet David.
Patrick Bet David, Valuetainment. Adam, welcome, man. So glad you're here with us today.
Tom Zenner, great to see you with the legend, Kato Kalin. I mean, Kato, I don't know what you're doing to keep your hair intact, but Jesus, send me your hairdresser.
Redkin, number 5, and our weed whacker. We'll talk later.
Hey,
Adam's a stud, by the way. Adam's a stud. You know, you can just tell he's got that aura about him. It's like,
don't remind him.
Yeah, I know. I
Tell
had
him
to
at the end of the
but
show.
It's true.
Where did you get those sunglasses? I know a lot of guys in Miami that wear those sunglasses. They're usually drug dealers, but I know you're clean on the green, doing your thing. So explain this look for me, because this is a new look for you, for at least in my world.
Okay. I've done it before on this show, and people, you know, send a lot of comments. What's up? Here's what's up. I decided at the beginning of this year, Kato, or Adam, that me and Kato were going to take this show next level. Everything I was doing, I wanted to take next level in 2024. So that means I just can't be another white guy on TV, right? There's a lot of those. I was that for a long time. So Adam, this is part of my bold initiative of 2024. These are not sunglasses. These are tinted prescription glasses. Okay?
Nobody needs just another random white guy. We don't need that unless he's orange and coming in the White House. Here we go.
I labeled it. It's the bold initiative of 2024. It's part of the government waste initiative. Vivek and Elon might come and take these away from me. It's a waste of money. Just wear contacts, but I don't care.
We're just happy he doesn't have a tapping cane with that. So it's all good. It's all good. Tom's looking good.
Hey, Adam, let's get into this, man, because you, PBD, Vinny, Tom Ellsworth, your show. I was there at the beginning. For the humble beginnings, when, you know, there was very few people watching that right away. Now you guys have built this into a top 10 podcast in the world. One of the primary voices for rational people, common sense. You know, you don't even have to label it political. But Adam, I mean, there's been a metamorphosis for you. It's been really interesting. You know, 4 years, what a difference 4 years makes. Kato, I was on the 7-hour election show 4 years ago when we were watching everything unfold. But Adam, what's it like now? How your life has changed? How you guys have such a prominent voice? And I mean, you guys are celebrities. I mean, you are influencers at the highest level. Just talk about that.
Well, as a woman, I feel like I'm very well versed in where the world is at this point, because I identify as someone who voted for Trump, but my entire life I've identified as someone that more voted as a Democrat, right? So I think the world has been in such disarray. Here's the best way I would put it, because Tom, you know, I was the one person sort of advocating for Biden in 2020. We know how that worked out. But it's almost like you're dating a girl and she's kind of mean, but the thing she's asking you to do, hey, why don't you dress a little bit better? clean it up a little bit, buddy. Hey, maybe the partners that you're working with are taking advantage of you. I don't know. And you're like, oh, you're so annoying. Like, just leave me alone. And you guys break up. And you date a new girl. And she's like, do whatever you want. I don't care. No standards. And you realize everything around you is crumbling. But she's like, it's okay. I love you regardless. And you come back to reality and you're like, all right, well, the first girl at least had standards. She held me accountable. She didn't let me just go out and get drunk all night and cheat and philander or whatever. And the new girl, she lets me do whatever I want. And reality sets in that maybe you need someone that holds you to higher standards, dare I say an asshole, rather than a weak someone in charge that lets you do whatever you want. So I think the reality is America looked at the asshole and a pussy, and they're just like, give me the asshole because the world's falling apart when we have a soft leader.
True. But don't you think that oversimplifies it a little bit? Because Joe Biden's an asshole. I mean, if you look at his track record as a Senate, I mean, I know a lot of personal stories, so he's not a great guy either. Can't we all get past the fact that Trump is that person? I mean, he's aggressive, he's in your face, but does that label still stick?
Well, I think Trump is a reflection of who we are in America. Like, look at it. I don't necessarily think of all the labels I can put on Biden, asshole isn't in my top 3. That's me. I don't know. There's a lot of other words I would put there, but Trump's a reflection. He wants to make money. He wants to have social media. He wants eyeballs. He's having kids. His kids are great, by the way. But he's also a little egomaniac, social media, selfies, selfie culture. He's a reflection of who we are. And I think he's the guy for our day and time. And, you know, like it or not, he's the...
He's, like you said, the reflection of who we are. He won the popular vote. So it's sort of like America spoke and said, you're the guy. Yeah. I think they actually spoke in 2020 also. I just think that whatever, you guys did the thing together 4 years ago. For both you guys, were you thinking, because Adam, you probably were pragmatic middle a while ago, and I think being on Patrick's show, you're together, you probably leaned a little more right, if I'm right in saying that. And then I don't know how you, Tom or Adam, saw 2020. I think Trump won.
Okay, well, we can, regardless of that, probably, because, but, here's my point. And Adam, I used to make this point all the time on the show. And Kato, I've told you this too. Because I live in LA. So I would fly out to Boca, Miami, Dallas, wherever we were doing the show, the PBD podcast. And I had to deal with the crap here, especially during COVID. On the airplanes, it was insane what I saw, what was going on. The people that were flying into LA, getting their free debit cards and just wreaking havoc. So I always said, there's going to be a tipping point where common sense has to prevail. I was saying this in 2020 because it was, and then it just got worse and worse and worse. But that was my whole point. And Adam, am I over dramatizing this by saying, yeah, he might be an asshole, but if we didn't have an asshole right now, we'd be almost done. I mean, another 4 years of this, it would be go right off the cliff.
Yeah, I think we need someone to come up and clean it up. You mentioned Elon Musk. We've become very close with Vivek. We've interviewed him multiple times, spent a lot of time with Vivek. They're going to be heading the Department of, what is it?
Government Access.
DOGE.
Government Efficiency,
Department of Government Efficiency.
So, listen, there's a mandate to start running the country like a business because we're, $36 trillion in debt. And it's getting worse day by day. I think they said that they're going to try to cut $2 trillion from the deficit in the first administration. I'm not even sure if that's the first year. But Tom, you bring up a good point because I remember you would fly from LA into Dallas and then you were flying from LA into Florida. So could you just picture whatever is going on in California and juxtapose that with what's going on in Florida? And that was sort of symbolic, a metaphor. Do you remember when Gavin Newsom debated Ron DeSantis about a year ago? And all the stats, all the criteria, all the numbers were on DeSantis' side. But I was in a room full of people while we watched a debate, some young girls, liberals, and I was like, who do you think won? They're like, the governor of California, I like him better. I'm like, well, forget about who you like. Who do you think had better points? I'm like, maybe DeSantis, but I just like him better. The reality is, you have personality and then you have actual policies. It's no surprised that Trump's policies have been better for America, but his personality pisses a lot of people off. And I think what's happened is people in America are like, F the personality, the world's going to shit. Get the janitor, the asshole, to come clean this mess up. And Tom, you would know this. Living in LA, California, the politics are so different from what they are in Texas or in Florida. You guys are living in a different world. So I would always argue with, remember Ricky Aguilar, the Mexican cholo? He's like, oh, bro, the demon rats are taking over our state. They all fucked up. I'm going to kill these mother. I was like, I don't see any of that in Florida, because Florida is not as polarized as it is in California or as it is in New York.
There's a film so many 30, 40 years ago called The Candidate with Robert Redford, and it was basically California. It was all based on looks, no policy and looks, and that's sort of the Newsom thing, Newscom. And it's true because we tried to get him out of office, and there was a vote, and they had enough signatures, 600 signatures, and then Newsom said they couldn't verify the signatures. So it's amazing Shocking. That no matter what, because when I go to Florida, it is a different world, which I love. It's a completely, people in California don't realize the world is so much better in Florida. I mean, I have friends here. I got to do my thing to stay here, but that is the #1 place I want to go. And because people just, life is, people enjoy life there more. And now with Trump here to clean up, and California had so many more counties that went red, it could become a Florida, and I'm hoping it is, because it's a better life. And you're right, Adam and Tom, it's time to clean up. And Tom and I have talked before, Adam, about years ago going, God, when is the pendulum when it's going to come to our side? I think it came to our side. The pendulum has finally swung.
Here, the thing I'm most happy about is it's not even a slow exit. Wokeism is dead. I mean, everybody agrees, even the socialist nut jobs, right? The progressives, they just know it's dead. Everybody's taking their pronouns off their IDs on their email signatures.
AOC?
Yeah, right? But thank God, you know, and here's what we're going to see. I think we're going to see comedy come back. And I think Adam Sandler started that with Happy Gilmore #2, which he said, screw wokeism. He was turning that into a true comedy.
Happy Gilmore #2 is coming back. Wow.
And it's going to be awesome, too.
Who doesn't like a good #2? Yeah.
And then... Come on, Adam, you didn't catch that?
He did.
You didn't get the Katoism?
He does. Yeah.
I bet there's scripts being rewritten right now. Watch Christmas commercials. They're going to start looking like normal American life. For the last 4 years, they've looked so different. You would think every single family is biracial, every single one. And I think just the acceptance. See, people have gotten to the point now where they just don't give a damn, right? I mean, they want to live their life. They see there's an alternative now and where we're going, but
I don't know about the commercials, but I'll tell you why. Because the commercials are shot so in advance before the election. So
You're
it could
right.
be.
You're right.
And it's already, the commercials are shot probably in July.
No, that's true.
So
but I've already noticed a difference. I have watched Christmas commercials. They look radically different than the last 3 years.
I'll tell you what's really different that I think people love. Have you noticed in sports that they're showing all these athletes scoring touchdowns doing the Trump dance? And that would never get on. They're showing college. It's amazing that was always there, by the way. But now they're starting to actually show it. And then Twitter X is just going crazy with that. With Nick Bosa, of course, starting with the hat. Now he's doing the dance. And the important thing is the other 49ers joined him, and you don't see that. So, like I said, the pendulum has swung over, and it swung over to become a better side. I think it's a better America. The spirit here. Tom and I were talking the other day. It's like, do you feel it? It's just, you feel, it's just a different feeling. It's not dark. And I'm looking forward to the next 4 years. And I think that Vance goes the next 4 years, and Trump is picking people in his cabinet that are young, and he wants to continue this. And I just think America, everybody's going to thrive.
Yeah. Hey, I want to throw this out to both you guys. So it's just fun because they're not wasting any time. I mean, they're ramming it through. Elon's, attached at the hip to Trump right now. Okay, so they're going to clean this up, $2 trillion at least, and they're going to be very transparent. They're going to post all this government excess, so we're all going to know who's responsible for it. Here, Adam, You know, we kept talking, I mentioned this on our episode last week too. We kept talking about, the 2 assassination attempts, like it was some cavalier thing where they spray painted the side of his house or something. Somebody tried to kill him. There's so much to that story that we don't know. And then when you think of this government waste and billions and trillions of dollars, and Kato will break it down for us in a second, these are called felonies. These are called crimes. Adam, do you think people, high profile people, are going to prison from what they are going to uncover here?
Accountability, you mean? Doubtful. But at the very least, they could be exposed. So to kind of unpack everything we talked about with Trump, with comedy, with exposing what's going on out there, there's the famous quote that all truth passes through 3 stages. At first, it's ridiculed, then you're violently opposed, and then it's accepted as self-evident. So I think what we're all realizing is Trump wasn't a Russian asset. Oh my God. Trump actually does love the United States of America. Oh my God, I thought he was a Russian asset. Turns out walls aren't racist. We kind of need a wall at this point. We've had 10 to maybe 20 newcomers, as Joe Biden puts it, illegal migrants that have crossed through the country. And he's putting together this super team, whether it's Elon Musk, whether it's Vivek, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard, Marco Rubio, whoever you want to put it there, some establishment, some anti-establishment, RFK, who's become an ally. I think he's realizing that he has, people say he's got 4 years to get this done, right? Because he's going to be a lame duck presidency. I believe he has 2 years to get this done. Because 2 years from now, boom, we got midterm elections, and this whole thing is going to happen again. So I believe that Trump has a mandate to clean it up, get efficient, and if it means telling the truth, even if it hurts people's feelings, then we have to do that. Sorry, 500-pound lady who won the beauty contest in Alabama. You're not hot, bitch. You fat. They gave you an award, okay? Identity politics, this whole situation. So all truth passes through 3 stages. I think we're at the stage now where people realize enough with the coddling, enough with the victim mentality, enough with the woke culture. America's done with it. America was given 2 choices: MAGA extremists or woke culture. And America has spoken. They'll gladly take MAGA rather than wokeness. And we'll see what Trump can do in the first 24 months.
Yeah, he's hiring people, too, that have the same attitude as him, have kind of the MAGA, like Tom Homan, the new border czar, who I think he's going to be so incredible. And the only bad thing I think he's done, he's labeled some of the immigrants as mild, medium, and caliente. So I don't know if that's the thing that he could, if you want to label people. No, but I'm kidding. Tom Homan is great, by the way. He's going to, you got certain people that just Trump knows immediately day one, they already take charge. And I think a guy like a Matt Gaetz is going to get right into the DOJ. It's so, I can't wait for January 20th. But Trump obviously planned this like he thought he was going to win. He had these picks already ready to go, and now they just have to get approved. And I think it's going to. I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see the strongest America ever.
Hey, Adam, you had a front row seat. You, PBD, the whole podcast there of future cabinet members coming onto the show. And you get a Pete Hegseth there. You're not thinking of him as defense secretary a few months later. I mean, so what was that like? What did you learn about these people? I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek multiple times. Alina Habba was there multiple times. Was it kind of fun to watch kind of history take shape in front of you, even though you didn't know it at the time?
So it's interesting, Tom, because I actually think I have a lot of credibility on this topic because, they say that when you're young, if you're not a liberal, you have no heart. And then when you're older, if you're not a conservative, you have no brain. I've gone from the empathy to wisdom over the last 4 years.
Basically, Adam, you saw all these future cabinet members just walk into the set. You got to know them. You could spend 3 hours with them at a time. You see their personality. No clue at the time that they could have such big roles in the government. But what was that front row seat that you had like?
So, great question. And I actually think that I'm very much equipped to answer a question like this because as I was saying earlier, when you're younger, if you're not a liberal, you have no heart. And when you're older, if you're not a conservative, you have no brain. So I've gone through this transition, to use it in a not literal way, ladies and gentlemen, of being empathetic, trying to be nice to people, but then also realizing, facts don't care about your feelings kind of a thing. And I've gone through this progression of meeting all these people, whether it's Vivek, whether it's even someone like General Mike Flynn, whether it's Tulsi Gabbard, whether it's Roger Stone, whether it's any of a handful of people, Trump himself. And I was sort of brainwashed by the liberal media, not even knowing it. These people are bad. These people are extremists. They're white Christian nationalists. They don't want the best for America. They don't want diversity. The reality is they want the best for America. They love America. And the liberal media villainizes these people and makes you think a certain way. And that's my fear, is that there's a lot of liberals who are great people. They care so much, and they've heard for years, these are the evil people trying to ruin our country. No, they actually love our country. So I remember meeting Paul Manafort. Do you know who Paul Manafort is? Paul Manafort was partners with Roger Stone. He was the guy in 2016 that was Trump's campaign manager. He ended up going to jail. And I remember thinking, this would have been in 2021, Tom. Oh, this fucking scumbag. I'm going to tell. And I meet the guy. I'm like, actually makes a lot of sense. Pretty nice guy. Roger Stone, same thing. General Mike Flynn is coming on the podcast. This guy is QAnon. He's crazy. It's like, patriot, loves America. And step by step, one by one, talking and interacting with your fellow Americans and realizing they're not the devil. They're not a villain. They might have a different take than you, but that's okay. You know, what did Ronald Reagan say? Someone you agree with 80% of the time is a friend and ally, not 20% your enemy. So all these people that I've had the chance to meet, Candace Owens, Dave Smith, the list goes on. We, for the most part, agree. Andrew Tate, whoever it is. And just because you disagree on a handful of things doesn't make you an enemy. And I think the resounding narrative for most Americans, we all actually agree on most things. It's these few culture divisions that divide us. We got to do better than that.
Mm-hmm. Right. You know, the left, I think, is hemorrhaging by seeing these pictures of Elon with Trump at all these events. It's like he's family now. And you actually got to meet also Vivek. Vivek, do you think it's sort of like they're the Doge that they have together, working together, that Elon's sort of the muscle, but Vivek is going to take over? You know, he'll be the one working it more because of SpaceX and Tesla and everything else that Elon's doing. So those two together, I don't think there's been the Avengers, the Marvel right there. These two guys are going to be a superpower for America. But do you think that Vivek is going to kind of take over that role? And Elon's obviously going to put input in there, but he, like I said, he's the muscle, he's the money man.
I think that's a great point by Kato. Obviously, Kato, I mean, that's all you do is, make great points. Hello. I've spent a lot of time with Vivek. And I've told everybody that would listen, this is the smartest, most relatable person I've ever been in touch with. Like, smart off the charts, but relatable and cool. Like, we all know people who are super smart, super wise, educated, know a lot of stuff. But when it comes to having a beer with the guy, unrelatable. We also know people who are very relatable, right? Like, what's the whole thing with George W. Bush? He's the kind of guy you'll have a beer with. Turned out he wasn't that smart of a guy. I would argue he's probably the worst president we've had policy-wise in our lifetime. But I think Vivek, he came on PBD Podcast, I want to say about a year and a half ago for the first time. And he had just finished writing his book, Woke Inc. He had not declared for his candidacy yet. And we would say, this guy is ridiculous. Everything he was putting together with investing, especially anti-ESG investing. I think he is going to play a major role in this. He's not running as many companies as Elon. He's not trying to go to Mars like Elon. He doesn't have, a baker's dozen kids like Elon. I think Elon is sort of the symbol of government efficiency, but I think Vivek is going to be doing a lot of the legwork, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do.
He's genius.
They're a 1-2 punch that you can't match. You know, the interesting thing to watch too is the role of the media, who has just been completely exposed, and there's been so much fanfare. And you know that Trump and his team have been thinking about this for a long time, because they rolled out those cabinet picks very, very quickly. I mean, you know, they had it for months and months. They must have like vetted them and had a game plan, and everybody hit the ground running. Usually, the media could counterbalance that with hit pieces, attacks, and this, but everybody knows the media is bullshit. And here's the other thing about the media. They're going to be into self-preservation mode here pretty soon, because you're going to, like what's going on at CNN, high paid anchors are going to be cast aside. Look, there comes a point where that's not self-sustainable. You know, when there's no revenue, businesses go under, and they have been completely exposed. Who's going to watch the media now when we know the power of podcasts? I mean, that's where it's just, and it's happened in front of our eyes in the span of about 4 years.
Well, CNN and MSNBC are up for sale. If someone wants to buy them, they can buy them.
PBD will probably pluck it. One of them.
I mean, or that, or Alex Jones, they said might be buying MSNBC. Who knows? They're trying to get the financing because.
Well, I think Alex Jones, I think InfoWars just was auctioned off, and they were purchased by, ready? The Onion.
Yeah, no, that was a big story a little while ago.
Website.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, well, Onion's out of Wisconsin, Madison. That's where it all started.
The Onion used to be funny. I mean, what a piece of crap it is now, and the Babylon Bee is.
Now it's,
exactly. You know those guys too.
You worked in media for a good amount of time, right? You've done a lot of content on legacy media. Now look at you right now. But, you know, we become very good friends with Chris Cuomo, right? So Cuomo is part of the valuetainment ecosystem now. He's now also on News Nation. He's no longer CNN. But just look at his progression. Look at someone like Megyn Kelly. She's no longer on mainstream media. She's basically doing her thing on YouTube, and this, the world has been disrupted. Disruption is the name of the game here. Whether it's politics, Trump was the big disruptor, no doubt. Media, podcasts have been the big disruptor. Money, finance, Bitcoin, crypto, big disruptor. We see what happens with Trump. Boom, if you got crypto, if you got Bitcoin, holy shit, life's going pretty good right now. But, you know, they came out with an article, I think it was the Hollywood Reporter. Pat sent me this. They were talking about the biggest viewership during the election, and at the top of the list was PBD Podcast. What? Number one in this list. And then you have the Daily Wire up there. You have Megyn Kelly doing her thing on the internet. You have Steven Crowder. You have all these people that, you know, were sort of counterculture years ago. But I think the mainstream media, or as some people call it, the lamestream media, has been exposed. And think about it, because I think Kato was talking about this on a clip that I saw about how mainstream media, nobody's watching these. Oh, you were talking about how nobody watches the local news. Who the hell watches the local news? There's three things keeping cable afloat, right? There's live sports, which is moving towards Hulu, and people are kind of creating their own sports channels, right? There's senior citizens, baby boomers, 65 plus, right? I mean, we don't need to, you know, go down the rabbit hole of what happens to people when they get older. And then number three is big pharma. Have you seen what RFK is talking about these days with big pharma and the health system, aka the sick system, and what he wants to do with the food? So I think we're going to get ready for an era of disruption, and I think it's going to happen very quickly.
It's going to be the golden age. What's going to happen is Scott Adams actually said I've always said the golden age, and someone said, well, Scott Adams says that. Scott from Dilbert, who's very much. I'll tell you what, it's happening in L.A., Adam. Yeah. It's gotten, like I said, the pendulum is swinging. The owner of the L.A. Times fired the editorial staff and wants to hire more people to see both views. This is L.A., where it was all liberal and they're all done. And he was on with Trace Gallagher on Fox yesterday. I wanted to see that interview. And the guy, this erudite, very much like an Asian man, but he's got the Vivek qualities.
He's a billionaire. Yeah.
So intelligent. And he's like, people want to know the truth.
Yeah, but you know what? What took him so long to figure that out? You know, if we hadn't had the tide turn like that, they'd still be pumping out the same crap, and they're not going to change that much.
Right,
I don't think. But you're right. That's
a
big step, even just to see that. You know, it's funny, Adam, because you know you talk about how Kato, the PBD podcast started in Pat's office. like Zeus, we'd have a guy like Zeus over there running the board, jumping in every now and then. We'd roll in there, you know, look at our notes and whatnot. And then it's just progressed into this machine. How did you guys look at your role, you know, as this thing progressed and you became such a, like a big voice? Were you conscious of that? Were you guys having meetings and saying, hey, look, there's going to be, you know, this could sway some people. This could open some eyes. Or did you just like keep cranking out content organically and let the chips fall?
The latter. I don't think any of us look at it as celebrities. I'm a former Miami nightlife guy who was sick of getting paid in drink tickets.
Yeah, but Adam, you think you're a celebrity. You are a celebrity when you're out of the clubs, and you got to be taking advantage of it. Why not?
He goes to a bar and
he owns
his
a bar
pickup
in
line.
South Beach.
He's got a bar. He gives girls like the Southwest air tickets, the drink coupons. Hey, do you guys take these at the bar?
Yeah, I wish. I've never in a million years. I was always the guy that was friends with celebrities, right? Whether it's Chris Humphries and Kim Kardashian, or whether it's some of the big nightlife people, or whether it's some of the people that we've interviewed here. I was always, you know, the plus one. Kato, you would know this from, you know, your track record, everything.
Dude, I can so relate to you. I always tell people that Kim Kardashian, when she hauls ass, she makes 2 trips. That's how big it is with Kim. But no, Adam, you're 100% right with what you're saying of with celebrity and you know, you're just kind of the person.
Mm-hmm.
I was always the guy there for the laughs. I was third wheel of, all right, Kato's here. Let's have some fun. It was always like, oh, it's a party. Kato's here. So I know exactly.
Hey, Adam, I got a good idea. Let's get Kato, Bill Maher, and PBD on a show. They can kind of broker a little peace deal because Kato's tight with Bill Maher. They used to hang out all the time.
Oh, is it? There's a relationship.
No, but Pat challenged him a little bit on when he was on.
I'm sure he'll respond.
Yeah,
he's going to get a response.
Bill Maher, I think, spoke for 90% of the interview where he was the interviewer. So it was pretty interesting how Pat played that thing. But to answer your question, our role, Tom, you know Pat, man. I mean, this guy's a business guy. This guy, he's worth how many hundreds of millions of dollars? You don't think he could just go relax on a beach somewhere and never work again? But he's got a mission, he's got a vision, he's got a game plan, and he's going to use an Elon Musk expression. He wants to take this to the moon and beyond. So even if I thought I was a celebrity for even 1 second, Pat would put me in my place immediately. But it is interesting where podcasters are and social media influencers are. Like I'm in DC right now. I'm in my hotel room. We're literally going to the Capitol in an hour, not storming the Capitol. We're going to go peacefully and quietly, everyone. So
a Thanksgiving insurrection for Thanksgiving. I said white meat.
November 20.
Well, Adam Sandler said white meat, dark meat, you just can't lose. I land in DC. I got to get over to the hotel because we're doing an event. Some girl comes running over to me, attractive girl. I'm like, hey, what's up? She goes, oh my God. I'm wearing my Valuetainment shirt. Are you Adam from Valuetainment at PBD Podcast? I'm like, yeah, why? What's up? She goes, oh my God. My husband and I love you guys. We watch it all the time. Thank you. Can I take a picture? I'm like, yeah, of course. All good. She goes, I've lived in LA for 20 years. I've seen celebrities. Never once do I run up to celebrities and ask them for a picture and autograph. But what you guys are doing is beyond. And I was like, holy shit. So I think there's a lot of people have come up to me or sent me messages and like, thank you for your role in saving the country. I'm like, I'm a freaking podcaster.
Hey, Kato, Adam, 3 years ago, it was probably 2021 when you, PBD, Mario, you guys came out to LA. Remember we met up? Right? We met up and they came to Manhattan Beach.
Your neighborhood in Manhattan.
Yeah, so they came to Manhattan Beach and we had lunch, had a good time. And you know what? We have big celebrities in LA, obviously. Manhattan Beach has a lot of athletes. Yeah. Vince Vaughn lives there, tons of athletes, actors. So it's not that big a deal. I saw PBD get stopped 5 separate times in Manhattan Beach. And this was in 2021. Now, when you guys are the top 10 podcast in the world, I mean, you get out there, you can't go anywhere, I would imagine, without, ask Kato about that. Yeah. That was his life and still is. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you also, we talked about the, I guess you kind of answered the question there, but what was the feeling of when you guys, with the podcast, when did you think the show that made you guys, I guess, famous? When did you realize there was a change? Because when you do podcasts, you really don't know it. And by the way, yesterday at Costco, it's a true story, guy came up to me and said, I'm watching 1 Degree Scandalous. I love it. I just watched the one with Tom Lang. So I did the photo, and Shungi took the photo. It didn't work. So he just took a photo of me because she couldn't figure out his camera, which is unusual because she's Asian. Anyways, but I can say that because it's my wife.
Comedy's back, baby.
Baby, I say MAFA, make America fun again. Adam, when did you think, and when did you think this is working out? You know, because when you first started, let's face it, no one knows a podcast, watches it. When did you guys go, man, we're making it. This is it.
I mean, I think we're in that moment right now. So to kind of address what Tom said and to answer Kato's question, I remember that trip it would have been in the late 2020 or 2021.
Yeah, it was probably late 2020.
COVID.
Yeah.
It was late 2020. That's when it was. And I remember that. And I remember some guy coming up in Manhattan Beach. We walked on the boardwalk, the pier, right? Your son Dash, who's a freaking stud, showed up. He's like walking around and he's on his skateboard. And I remember some guy being like, PBD. Think about this for a second. I remember saying to Pat, I go, how did that guy know you? He goes, from the YouTube content. I go, you mean to tell me some guy in real life stopped you in real life because he recognized you from the internet? He's like, yeah. And it's going to happen to you too. What do you think? Get the fuck out. You're telling me people are going to stop me in public because they recognize me from the internet, from YouTube? He goes, watch, wait and see. I go, Pat, I don't know what you're smoking. Think of it was so foreign to me, to the point where now I'm getting stopped in airports, I'm getting stopped in streets. Everything Pat has ever told me has come true. Now, Kato, you said, what were the moments that kind of put you guys on the map where you realized, holy shit? I think, Pat starting the podcast in 2020 versus just doing YouTube videos was huge, because, podcasts, think about it. You do one podcast, it's 2 hours, right? We do a 2-hour podcast. Let's say, who's your favorite actor, right? Who's your favorite actor, Kato? Who is it?
Right now, let's go with Owen Wilson because he's a bud.
Okay, so Owen Wilson, he's had massive roles in Wedding Crashers. How many movies have you seen of Owen Wilson? A dozen? 20? How many? So a dozen times 2 hours, you've watched him for 24 hours. But he's a different character in every movie. I mean, he's got that weird nose and weird hair in every movie, but his character is different in every movie. Now, Matt, we're on episode 500 something in the PBD podcast. 2 hours apiece, election special, 6 hours. So if you're a fan of Adam or Pat or Tom or Tom's, whatever it is, you've watched us for 1,000 hours, and we're ourselves. Celebrities are no longer the oh my God, you start to realize who these people are. So then, in 2020, we said 2024 is going to be our year. Why? Because we anticipated this election being a big deal. Obviously it was. But then we had guests like Andrew Tate. We had the 2 biggest podcasts that Andrew Tate's ever done. That was huge. We flew to Madrid. We flew to visit him in Romania after he got canceled, after he was out of jail, put on house arrest. Over the last 13 months, we've had not only Tate, we've had Tom Brady, we've had Mike Tyson, right, coming up. We had The Rock on about 3 months ago. We had Trump on. We've had all these political characters. So I think it all just culminated with the election of Trump, because we've created value. Hey, come in, learn, be a part, but also attainment. You know this, Kato. You know this, Tom. You're in the entertainment world. People want to have fun.
Yep. That's a great point. That's a great point.
They want authenticity.
And I think that's why Adam's in D.C. There's going to be a cabinet position, Department of Fun, nightlife.
I'll take it.
You'll gladly serve America. Adam, I think that's a great point, because, what's the one thing that separates far left, right? Progressives and families, normal people, entrepreneurs, hustlers, just people that have patriotism, one side is happy. One side is positive. The other side is always depressed. There's always something going wrong. They're always the victim. So I think in the next 4 years, this side is going to understand, my life is better. I enjoy myself more. Yeah. They are radicalized. They literally are, because of the media and social media. I mean, it's such a big deal. They're only pumped one message into them, and they're programmed to believe it. And now they're going to see evidence. The economy's better. People are more free. Wokeism is dead. You're not getting worried about getting canceled. There's actual comedy. You can laugh. You can have fun. Right. You can, like, Adam, you can imagine what it's like for Kato and I here in LA. I mean, you don't talk politics, right? You just don't. But I think in the last few weeks, it's chiseled away a little bit. Like, you don't really give a damn anymore. I mean, why can't we believe what we want to believe? You know, it's funny, Kato, and you tell me if you know this too, Adam. Like, we're always pitching shows. We have meetings, you know, with studios and agencies, and you're always wondering, if I accidentally slipped out something, would this meeting be over? And I believe it would be. I told Kato this story the other day. LA 28, the Olympics is coming up in 28. A big part of their interview process is basically finding out how woke you are and how progressive you are. And if you're not enough, the interview's over. And it's totally Hollywood. But I think
that's going to change.
Money drives everything, and it's a bad business.
I think that's going to change.
What's the, I think you're spot on, Tom Zenner, spot on. What's the famous phrase, go woke, go broke? I think you bring up a great point. I'll tell you why. Think about the far right and the far left for a second. All right, just zoom out. And, you know, Pat wrote the book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely. My enemy is extremism. Anyone on the far right, anyone on the far left, you're way too extreme. But here's what I'll tell you. The far right, and I'm talking the furthest of the right in America, neo-Nazis, KKK, white supremacists, the far left, the communists, the Marxists, in a weird way, and I'm saying this as a Jewish person who fears both sides, the far right, in a weird way, at least loves America. They love America so much that they don't want any of you mother suckers coming. Black, Jews, gays, LGBTs, you know, the Irish, whatever it is, Hispanics, Latino, they don't want any of that. But they at least love America and they want to preserve America. The far left hates America. They hate what America stands for. They hate capitalism. They hate free enterprise. So when you hate America, you're always on edge and you're thinking, oh my God, I hate that. You can't have fun. You know, what's the famous Snoop Dogg thing? It ain't fun unless the homies get some. Think about it. Cancel culture, safe spaces, all these things, canceled, oh my God, everything. This is basically the key ingredients of the left. So victim culture, everything. Kato said, you know, Trump has Make America Great Again. RFK has Make America Healthy Again. Maha, I like what Kato said, Make America Funny Again. We're seeing Vince Vaughn come out and basically say, where's Vince Vaughn been? Who's one of the greatest, funniest comedic actors of our generation.
Bad Monkey was good.
He came out as a libertarian. Oh my God, canceled.
Yeah.
Seinfeld's out there doing comedy again, basically saying whatever this woke culture is. Adam Sandler, I think with Trump coming back in, it's giving everyday Americans cover to say, you know what? F your feelings. Let's have reality. Let's have fun. Let's have comedy back again.
Yeah. You know, it's elitism. That's exactly what it is, because you get a guy like Don Lemon, okay? And then let's take Jimmy Kimmel and let's take Steve Colbert. My prediction, they don't have a show in 2026. They're going to be gone next year. I don't think it's sustainable. The ironic thing is they're going to be canceled. And then the problem for them is there's no landing spot for them. Because if you want to do a podcast, if you want to be successful, you got to be an entrepreneur, right? You got to hustle. These guys are just used to working for the big machine, for networks, somebody to pay them. They think that their voice matters. And it would if they just would show some common sense. But so much of what the problems are in this country defy common sense. And that was the tipping point for so many people. I mean, we have very dangerous people in this country. We have a very, very dangerous fentanyl problem in this country. This is some serious shit. And it's about time we finally woke up.
Oh, Tom Homan will get that. Yeah. Hey, Adam.
Well, think about something. One quick point. You bring up a great point here, Tom. What's the #1 late night show on TV right now?
Greg Gutfeld.
Gutfeld show.
Greg Gutfeld. Think about this for a second. And Greg Gutfeld, I know you're a big fan of Tom Zenner's show, so you're probably going to see this. Least funniest, least talented guy by far on late night TV. But the Kimmels of the world, the Colberts of the world, the Fallons of the world, they're all basically being fragmented, fighting over the same pie. Whereas you talked about business models, Greg Gutfeld went blue ocean strategy. We're going to do a late night show on Fox. Number one, they don't have celebrities on. They don't have big musicians on. They don't have Ariana Grande. Kim Kardashian's not coming on there. Hollywood's not coming. They just have everyday people. They have Kat Timpf. They got the big guy. I forget his name, but Tyrus. Yeah. And they're the number one show. No musical acts, no comedians, no nothing. So if that doesn't tell you what's going on, nothing will.
Well, because every show was the same from the Kimmels to the Colberts, and you could only take so much negativity that the conservatives had to have a voice. That voice showed you how many people wanted to hear another side of the story, and that's why it became number one. I have a question, Adam, on your show, when you and Patrick, why don't you guys do a show on a follow-up of all the people that want to leave the country? Because they say it all the time, from a De Niro to a Miley Cyrus to Bette Midler drinking bleach.
Lena Dunham. Yeah.
I mean, these are pay-per-view specials of, Rob Reiner, Set Yourself on Fire. How much would you pay? Someone should do a follow-up, because they have not said, Reiner, someone else, they've not
Tom Hanks
commented.
said he was going to leave too.
Yeah, Tom Hanks. They have not commented since November 6th on X. I think that is a great thing to do, to find out where are you guys now? Why are you not leaving? Because they were so adamant, I'm leaving the country. Well, then leave.
Yeah. Well, talk is cheap. I mean, these people said the same thing in 2016. They're still here. You know, they said it again in 2024. They're not going anywhere. Their words are hollow. Their endorsements ring hollow. Think about this. All the celebrities that endorsed Kamala, turns out they were paid. Beyonce, 10 million. Oprah, 1 million. She's wondering why her market value isn't the same. J-Lo this. All these people. Oprah came out and said, this very well may be the last time you have a chance to vote. Do you see what Stephen A. Smith said about this? And Stephen A. Smith has become a good buddy through the podcast and PBD. Who believed that? Who actually believed that?
Right.
You know, these fear tactics, they may work with somebody, but as Zenner said, we all have common sense. We saw what Trump did for 4 years. You know, the weaponization of the justice system, he's going to throw all his opponents in jail. There's only one party that tried to weaponize the justice system. So it's like, don't believe me or lying eyes over here. So I think the American people, here's the most beautiful thing. It wasn't a close election. It didn't come down, thank God, to whatever shit show's going on in Arizona, still counting votes in Maricopa County. It was a mandate. And I'm using mandate specifically. The country said, F you wokeness, F you feckless leadership, give me a strong asshole to GSD, get shit done. And Trump, thank God it wasn't a close election.
Hey, Kato, I'll get to you. Hey, guys, we have about 6 minutes left, so let's go some rapid fire here. I'm going to get to you, but because I want to save time for an amazing.
It's just a quick liner.
Oh, sorry, shit! Did I interrupt your joke? My bad. Go.
I've always said, Adam, Oprah puts the broad in broadcasting, but Kato puts the hoe in hosting. Okay, Tom, what were you going to say? I think it was worth it.
I wanted to tease everybody. We got a great story. I got this great story about Adam coming up, and then Adam, I'm going to tell you a great story about Kato real quickly. I'm going to throw out a theory real quickly. You tell me if it's brilliant or you're an idiot, TZ. Ready?
Okay.
Joe Biden is basically a vegetable. We know that, right? But here's the thing. This guy is, in the day, he was a gangster. He was a straight up gangster, and his wife isn't far behind him. I think he did two things intentionally to help Donald Trump win, or more importantly, have Kamala lose. I think obviously he hates her. He has no respect for her. She was thrown on him. This dude, you know, for 50 years had a reputation, and then, you know, he was a puppet for 4 years. So I think he and Jill were so concerned about his legacy that I think he immediately endorsed Kamala, because then they had to run with it. There couldn't be anything happening at the convention. Number two, I think he intentionally called Trump supporters garbage in that final week or week and a half, and the shitstorm that came from that. I think he did it intentionally. That's my opinion.
Okay, I'll go first. I think Tom is right, except for the garbage thing, because I think when he did it at a moment where it wasn't prepared, and he said something. But the rest of the stuff I agree on. I agree that Jill Biden wore red the day of the voting, bright red, Republican red. I think that spoke volumes. Yep. So I see that. But you're right. He was the legacy is dead.
Adam agrees with everything I say anyway. He always has.
Adam, what do you think, Adam? Adam, you agree with what I said too?
Tom Zenner is one of the best people at making predictions. Now, I didn't say that the predictions were accurate. I'm just saying he's one of the best at making them.
And loud.
You know, this
and
is
emphatic.
The guy who famous. What's that, Tom?
I said and loud and emphatic. I almost make you want to believe it. Might not be true.
He's a salesperson, and this is the guy who in 20 said, I don't even think Joe Biden wants to win. I think he's just doing this for fun. I go, what? Why wouldn't he? It's 2 weeks before the election. Why wouldn't he want to win?
I was right.
He was the puppet.
It was content.
Total puppet all the way, though.
Zenner also said in 2021, Giannis Antetokounmpo will never win an NBA championship.
I did say that.
2 weeks later, he's lifting up the trophy. Yeah. So
okay, if you really want to get Adam going, have my Belichick interview. Or
I'm a Milwaukee. I'm from Wisconsin, so I know the Bucks really well. I went to a few of those games, so yeah.
So I'm also one of the least conspiratorial people I know. So I'm always like trying to be a pragmatist. So on one hand, Joe Biden's a vegetable, right? But at the same time, he's also intentionally using his brain and wisdom to dismantle something or somewhat. So two things he can't be completely brainless, but also intentional. I think he's clearly lost a step. Listen, he's 82 years old. Like, he's got some blunders. He's got some slips. I still think he's mostly there, but clearly not all the way there. But I do think he wanted Kamala to win. I don't think he wants Trump. I do think Jill Biden, despite wearing red, which was very random, voted for Kamala. I think she wanted to sustain some sort of power.
Wrong.
It's okay to disagree.
I think I'm right. I think if I read between the lines here, I think you agree that I was brilliant with my deduction. Thank you, Adam. Appreciate it.
I think Tom is batting 100% on every prediction, and it shows in the polls.
We could do 3 hours we could do 3 weeks with Adam. I would love that. Because I didn't even get to ask him about financial advice and all that. Do you think I should buy lotto tickets or not?
Well, depends on if you win. Depends on if you win what you do with the money. Most people that hit the lotto are broke within 3 years. But, Kato, everything's going great in your life, so I wouldn't have to risk anything.
Hey, Adam, in 1 minute, how crazy was the security when Trump showed up at Valuetainment for the interview with PBD?
Insane. Let me just paint this picture. We have no clue what's going on. You know, we've been moving. We have a few different buildings. Tom, you haven't been to the newest building. Shonda was there, by the way. Shout out to your girl.
Weaving her magic. Yep.
I love it.
That's right. Doing her thing. So timing couldn't have been better with, hey, we're doing some construction. We're selling the building. Turns out they were building a ridiculous tent, not even a tent, like a canopy for Trump to walk in. They're doing all this construction. We show up. The whole street in the city is broke down. 100 of Secret Service cops, just security clearance galore. This is the same building we walk into every day. We're getting patted down, checked. You know, some people had to go. Some people liked it, not me. I don't know. But they checked. It was insane. And then Trump walks in. He walks in through like the back door where they built his tent. The first thing he says, I don't think we're that good looking, but he goes, look at these good looking people. Look at these guys, all these beautiful people. But then I see him do it all the time. Oh, you handsome boys. And he was talking to me and Pat's kids, his two sons, and Vinny. So I was like, he called you handsome. They're like, ah. But Trump knows retail politics. Here's one thing I'll say about Trump. Like him, love him, hate him, dislike him. This guy's been in the spotlight for 40 years. And not as a D-list, as an A-list top dog alpha. This guy knows how to control a crowd, and we're about to have a very interesting 4 years of Trump back in the help, 45 to 47.
Quick story, 10 seconds. The last season of The Apprentice, I was up for it, met with the casting. I was going to be one of the people on The Apprentice the last season, and he never did it. It was that close.
That would have been classic.
It was that close.
This is the king of the Big Brother.
Kato, you were fired before you were even hired. You're a lightweight, Kato. Everybody knows it.
Hey, okay, here's why, Adam, you have to come back because
Yes.
I'm going to tell everybody. And Kato, fun fact about Adam, he was in Kim Kardashian and Chris Humphrey's wedding. He was a groomsman. Wow. He was a groomsman. We're going to get the whole story with KK. And then, KK. And then, Adam, you got to hear a couple stories from Kato's wedding that are just absolutely classic.
I understand the towels that you gave her as a gift that said his and next. Is it true?
Adam, final thought. Bold Initiative 2024. What do you think? It got Trump elected. These glasses right here. It's going to change the world.
Tom and Kato, you're changing the world every podcast at a time. Would love to come on for round 2. Let's just set it up. Tom, have your people call my people. Kato, I know, you got tons of people in between, but...
Can I call you when I'm down in Florida? I could be down there very soon.
Anytime, Kato. Anytime. Put us in a group text.
For sure. Done. All right. Thanks, Adam. Good luck with it.
Great
whatever's
show.
going
Thank
on.
you, my friend.
Keep it rocking, man. Say hi to everybody.
Say hi to the White House. Trump lives here. Trump lives here.
All right. Hey, thanks, everybody. Follow the K Train. We have 2 channels now. TZ Clips, where you get all the highlights, short clips, and excerpts from every single episode. We're over 80 now, crushing it. So, Kato, good seeing you, buddy. You ready to crank it up?
Let's do it. I'm on fire. You know
Zeus,
that.
you on board with us, man?
Let's do this. Let's go to the sky, to the moon.
All right. We'll keep it going. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time.